Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Totally Indian Football Show. I'm your host Siju, and we are doing this right after the World Cup is over, and what a World Cup we've seen, especially the finale where we saw finally Messi taking the World Cup trophy home. And we probably start this episode by talking about the entire World Cup, the games that we watched, because why not? But before that, let me introduce my guest to everyone and let me also welcome him. Sidhhant Agarwal. He is the founder of SportVot. Sidhhant, thank you so much for taking time and joining me on my show. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Siju, and pleasure to be here.
Well, if I did not go into the details of SportVot because I wanted you to share, if you had to share in a nutshell, what is SportVot all about?
Yeah, so SportVote is a digital sports platform where we are trying to build a platform that helps sports talent discovery. And what we are doing to enable that is help video capture. Now, what we've seen today is a video can tell a much better story about someone rather than just having a few sort of data points or talk about statistics in general. But if you marry statistics and video, you can learn and talk more about a player or an individual in general as well. So that's what SportVote is. It's a video platform which lets you create live video for your matches. It gives you a very cost efficient and a convenient manner to stream your games online using the SportVote platform and log, create player identities, and yeah, share it and distribute it to a wide set of audience. So that's what SportVote is. And yeah, in a nutshell, that's what you can think of it.
Right. Now, before I speak in detail about and ask you much more about sport, what, as I mentioned, let's talk about the World Cup. And I'm sure you must have also followed it right until the end. So let me know what did you make of this year's World Cup from the start, all the games, and right up till we had a grand finale which went down till the wire. What do you have to say about it?
This is probably the least I've consumed. I think maybe it's age catching up. But yeah, I wasn't able to watch the 12:30 matches. But yeah, more often than not, apart from those late night kickoffs, yeah, pretty much caught up all the action. Probably, I think what we witnessed in the final was, I think, the best World Cup match ever. Not just the finals. Arguably one of the best matches, I would say. They could have been better, but definitely the best final that I have watched since I've been watching football. So I don't think we could have hoped for a better, a better World Cup final at least. Yes, if you have to talk about the entire World Cup, yeah, I think it was full of surprises. You had probably every single group open for the last match of the group stage as well. So that was pretty exciting. So I think quite a leveler this World Cup was. If you have to talk in terms of the grand scheme of things, you had teams like Morocco who were playing the semi-final, the first African team to do it. So I think a very good leveler this World Cup has been. Shows that if you have the right mentality during those 6, 7 games of the tournament, I think you can achieve anything. And I think Morocco was for me the team of the tournament. But yeah, all in all, a very good World Cup, a very great spectacle, and I think people had a lot of inhibitions, apprehensions about how World Cup in the Middle East is going to be like. Of course, there are various challenges and a lot of issues which we want to discuss, but I guess on the whole, it was a very good World Cup, and hopefully there are more that will happen in Asia, and hopefully South Asia and maybe even India gets to host as a part of a bigger consortium. Maybe I don't know, but a very good World Cup that Asia hosted, and yeah, look forward to another one soon in the continent.
Yeah, and I think with that excitement, we'll now head into a little more getting to know about Siddhant and SportWhat. Siddhant, if you can tell me about, like, I think while I was reading about you, it mentioned that you were kind of very intrigued about how data can help sports and also advance that, how it can also help players and athletes and coaches in different aspects. So when was the first time that, even before coming into entering into sports and sport what happened, what is your background like and what were you doing before entering into this?
Okay, so My background is basically I'm an engineer. I graduated from from Indira Gandhi College of Engineering in 2012, and started working as a software engineer in Oracle, and pretty much a proper desk job of sorts, and you know, but always a good, like I had a knack of sort of watching sports, following sports, playing as well, and used to play a lot of football manager back in college, even prior to that, high school, late like 10th, 11th. Played a lot of this particular game called Football Manager. And the interesting part of this game was this game never ends, right? You can play till back in 2006, we were playing seasons in 2020 and 2021, 15, 16 years down the line. And the beauty of the entire game was it had so much information on so many players, and there were so many players that were built on a probabilistic model of identifying how good a particular player is or what sort of potential that a player has, and it was a very fun game to play. But at the same time, I realized that how a small report card can help you understand a lot about a particular player. So that was my first interaction with how data and how sports can be sort of looked at from the lens of talent scouting or discovery. Of course, we never thought of, or I personally never thought of doing something at that point because I was just 16, maybe, yeah, 15, 16. But that was my first experience with, looking at numbers and statistics and identifying a player potential or rating a player's potential. So yeah, worked in Oracle for 3 years. Joined a startup, which was again had a lead data engineer sort of a role over there as well. And then I started my own fantasy gaming platform, and that is where we actually, sort of came to know what we could do and what we wanted to do. Rather, that fantasy game was just for fun. That we kind of had a very decent exit as well. And post that, I started SportVot, which was mid 2019 with me. So, if you ask me, my first thoughts on building SportVot were to build something like a money ball, sort of a talent discovering piece. Then, as I said, I realized that if you start capturing videos or enable video creation, you could probably do a much better job than just having scores and stats and numbers. So yeah, that's how it kind of came into being. And today's SportVot sort of has streamed over 23, 24,000 sports matches, has over 100,000 odd athletes on the platform that have been featured slash discovered. So yeah, that's been a slight background and journey of me personally, and how Sportwood also came into being.
You mentioned you started off with probably developing an app, right? Your fantasy gaming app. And if I may ask, what were your learnings from, delving into that aspect and which you took and you kind of bettered when you began SportWhat?
It started as a fun project for me, the fantasy gaming thing. I just wanted to quit working and do something, and fun maybe had a lot of users using the platform. So I think what we realized was the most satisfying thing rather for us was to see people use it. So that was the biggest satisfaction that we got. In terms of learning, if you ask me, what we realized in that sort of small stint was the team is very important. Whatever you're trying to do, if you don't have the right set of people working with you, for you, whatever you want to call it, you won't be able to achieve much. And of course, we had decent number of users, but we were just the two of us, me and my co-founder, who were just running it, and it definitely wasn't going to sustain the way we wanted to run it because we never trusted people, we never were able to hire also the right set of people. So I think what we realized was you need to have the right set of people, motivated, driven, highly driven individuals working with you and believing in whatever you are trying to build. So I think that was the biggest learning that we took from that short stint. Although fairly decently successful, I would say, in terms of the resources that we put and the kind of users that we used to get to play. But yeah, an interesting learning. If you ask me, one piece that I could tell you is you should have the right set of people, and that is what we we learned in that.
Yeah, you mentioned about the team, and I think I was coming to that next. How and where did you meet your immediate team, the team of co-founders for SportVot, which includes Shubhangi and Yash?
Yeah.
How did that team come about, and if you can tell us more about that?
So Shubhangi, I have known for a while. Like her brother and I used to be in college together, and like we've known each other for 16, 17 years now. And Shubhangi is his younger sister, so I've kind of known her pretty long. But we've never worked together. It was just that he's like someone like an elder brother. That's what she knew me. There was no professional working relationship that we had. But interestingly, she started helping me in marketing or sort of running. I wouldn't say marketing, but creating a community of gamers in our previous stint. And she used to help us with performance tuning and messaging, creative content, etc., etc. So that's where we started working together, the two of us. And Shubhangi and Yash went to school together, and Yash used to intern with me previously. Where he was working on some project for some defense related project, which of course we can't share much information on, but he was working on and he wanted a few help. Shumangi kind of put him in touch with me. The two of us sort of started working on random stuff. He was a big sports fanatic as well. Found a lot of common synergies. Worked for about 1.5 year before starting SportVot. So yeah, that's how the three of us sort of came to working together. We kind of knew each other for quite long, individually at least, but collectively we started to work probably a year and a half before we actually started SportVot.
Well, that's actually an interesting story out there. How three of you all came together and has been working since then, and SportVot has been a product over there. Well, coming to now, you guys were in the news for the right reasons, making all the right noises earlier this year when you guys raised funding as well. Tell us, I mean, if you can, whatever that is, you can share with us. Talk us through that journey. How is that like? What was your experience? Because and we've often seen this is, I think, in the last a year and a half, we've seen startups grow, and some uniquely different startups have raised funding. So if you can tell us about your journey.
Sure. So I think raising money is fairly exhausting. If you have to ask me, it's probably the most difficult thing that I've done so far, especially when you are talking about sports in India. Like there's a big battle of perception that you have to fight, and the sort of maturity that you would expect is not there in terms of understanding and looking at sports, and for the right reasons, because I don't think we ourselves as a country are mature enough to understand and figure out how sports functions and what a sports economy could be. So I think that was even more challenging. And then if you factor the pandemic into the equation, it's going to be even worse, because sports is one of the most affected, or was one of the most affected industries when it came to the pandemic. So it's not easy, I would say, but there is enough support that is being created for the startup ecosystem in India, and there are good resources, there are good investors out there for sure. And I would say people have to just find the right set of people to speak to and get connected. But if you have to ask my experience, I think it was very difficult initially in terms of creating that awareness about a space which is not definitely the top priority of the VCs in the country. And yeah, that was the first step for us. And then second was to find the right people, and we are fortunate enough to have the right set of people who believe in us, basically the right set of investors. The first thing that they should have is conviction in yourself as an individual, rather than the company or the product, etc. It's more of having that right belief and right conviction in the individuals that are running the company. And we were fortunate enough to find these bunch of people who backed us. And in fact, I was very surprised looking at a few of the investors who are on our cap table and who have invested in this round, to even look at sports as a vertical. And I was pleasantly surprised, of course. And I hope there are many such funds that look at sports as a very viable option And it is, of course, our collective duty as well to make it viable, to make it sustainable. But yes, the most important thing was to find the people who believe in you, and we were fortunate enough to find it. I think everyone works hard enough, but not everyone sort of finds them or finds these right people, and we were fortunate to find them. And hopefully we can build from here and get even stronger and bigger.
Great, Abir. I think some great insights into how your personal experience through that, and like you rightly mentioned, sports being something still that is not very much. People don't look at it as, oh, come on, let's all jump into it and invest, put in money. But kudos to you guys for having done that and getting to know a little bit more now. It's been a while that you guys are there. The presence is out there. People know what sport what is, what you guys do. You've also invested mainly into the Kabaddi section. You've really established yourself out there in that sport. And congratulations on that, because many of the players have also been picked from the leagues that you conduct and have got proper contracts with PKL teams as well. So along this way, what if you can share some of the challenges that you faced, because it's definitely not easy, right? You're now running a it's one of the leading platform, and as you grow there would be challenges on the way. If you can share something, and also on how do you kind of tackle those challenges for the smooth functioning of the platform.
Yeah, so I think challenges are sort of two faced. If you ask me, you will have people, of course, one is the tech challenge, the technology side of things. How do you manage, how do you scale, both technologically and operationally? And the other side then is, since it's so unorganized and so unstructured when it comes to the entire ecosystem being all over the place also at some times, I think our challenges are twofold. First is to get people to sort of understand the timing of it. So for example, a very good example that I can give you right now is the state kabaddi championship. It's a massive event. It's got, I would say, anywhere between 8 to 10 million viewers, having over 506 odd matches in the span of 4 days, happening across the entire not across the state but in one venue, but teams from across the state coming and playing. But when you go and talk about the basics of it, where when you want to go and let's take it a step back. So this is the event that I described. We've got enough people wanting to sponsor them. Now the sponsors want some structure, right? Like what's going to be, who are the teams, what the squad going to be like, when is the match going to start? And these federations are not fully equipped to even give that information out quickly, right? So there are people knocking on your doors wanting to give you money, but the sheer lack of basic resources with these people is such that there is no way for them to even execute a simple thing on time. So through SportVot or through SportVot's easy to use tools, these guys are now at least looking at structuring information, getting it broadcasted, getting it live streamed, having more interest from sponsors coming in. So the challenge is even this for them, in spite of even having all the things on their I wouldn't say on a plate or on the platter given to them, but very very fairly very easily available to them, is the education that is very important. And these guys have now started to learn, but I think there's still a very very long way to go. And on the other side, of course, when you talk about technology, like when we are talking about these users, they are not your tech savvy users, right? They are not your typical urban audience who's going to be very familiar with the internet products that are out there. So it's that typical quote unquote Bharat sort of a audience, right? So creating experiences or user experience or creating a platform for these people in itself is very challenging. And what we think is not what how they think in terms of products or in terms of experience. It's just because of the kind of environment they've always been in. So so the problem not just starts at scale, but it starts at the very beginning also, where how do you make these people, how do you make a product that is so usable, that's so easy, that anyone can use it, right? So our core focus has always been, can it be very simple? Can you make it so simple that anyone can use it? And when you talk about streaming and broadcasting, that in itself is a very complex thing. So how do you simplify such a complex thing and then simplify that simplification as well? Because the kind of audience that you're wanting, that you want to use your product, is going to demand that. So yeah, if you ask me, challenges there, not just in on the technology side. Of course, there is a technology element, but experience, user experience, operations, getting the entire structure to the entire unorganized way of functioning is also equally challenging.
Well, I think our listeners of the show must have got in a good brief that what sport what is and what you intend to do. Let's now talk about something that would probably be valid to everyone out there with regards to the Indian football context. Right now, if I am right, you have already two teams, the local teams from Bombay, who use your platform for the right reasons. But if you can tell me a bit more about with regards to, you mentioned about the accessibility, you mentioned about the complexity of using technology. So if anyone out there who wants to use, especially when I say anyone, anyone with regards to Indian football clubs or whether it's players using this platform, because it also not just helps you live stream games, but then there's also enough data to back up the player and the matches as well. So how does one navigate through the app, and how can one use this for any of the matches, and how are you guys looking at just like have you penetrated Kabaddi? How are you guys looking at Indian football market and making it big there?
I think the Kabaddi market in India is much bigger, to be very honest. Just in terms of the sheer participation, if you see, look at it from a non-urban segment, it is much higher. But in terms of the sheer volumes of participation, I feel, if not much bigger, but it's at least slightly bigger. But then when you break down the experience that we've had with the two clubs that use our solution, I think they've managed to attract sponsors. Like you have top sponsors coming in and sponsoring a super division club in the Mumbai Football Association. Now you wouldn't have thought that a few years back, right? And all this is because they are generating content, they are streaming their games online, they have got a community of 2,500 to 3,000 people who are watching it. So that's a very big plus for these clubs. The second aspect is, since the players in the clubs have got so much coverage. Now, of course, this is not good for the club, for any club to lose a player, but it's still a very satisfying return for a club owner or for a club manager that some of your players have made it big, right? So we've had, for example, Mumbai Marines is one of the clubs that uses our solution. We've had a player from Mumbai Marines now picked up by some elite division or I League Two club, I guess. I don't know if it's factually correct, but he has gone a level above the current division that they are playing. So when you start capturing video or when you start capturing information or data, you don't know what sort of possibilities it can open for you. You can have better monetization, you can have better sort of brand presence being built in terms of your players getting a better contract or getting up the ladder, or vice versa, you able to find the best player from a division below and be that smart club who's moved ahead of everyone and picked up that player before anyone. So the advantages of streaming or data capture are immense, and I think everyone knows them as well. And I don't need to educate people on that. In terms of using the application, it's fairly simple. You can sign up on the platform. You can reach out to us to go live with it. There's a concept of giving you or granting permissions to a club to go and do live stream with. And the second is you can also reach out to us. We can share mobile numbers, email IDs where you can have a chat with us. We can walk you through how easy it is to stream your match or capture video for your match. Have data linked to it. It's fairly simple. It takes what 15-20 minutes to go through a small video tutorial that we've got. The video tutorial is not even 5 minutes long, but of course you'll have to play, pause, get yourself used to it. So 15-20 at the most an hour of your time, and you should be well equipped to start streaming. We also have an end-to-end value-added services module where you have a slightly bigger league or a bigger event that you want to stream, and you would want a professional to come and broadcast it for you using a professional grade camera. our application is compatible with that as well. We can give you the end-to-end service as well with the camera crew, etc. So yeah, both options are available. As long as you give us enough number of days before your match, we can get you up and running with anything. Of course, we can get you up and running the night before your match as well, but it is advisable to give us at least a couple of days to educate you, and you yourself also to educate yourself if you're doing it by yourself. So yeah, it's fairly simple, fairly straightforward to start.
Now, you also mentioned that how this platform or the data that is there, which you guys also have a backup to, which kind of helps you in
Yes.
scouting better, right? And as opposed to calling for a trial and then, you just have 10 minutes to impress the scout and then it's either do or die kind of a situation.
Yeah.
But here you have in depth details. So, if, any Indian football scouts out there listening to this show, how would you tell them and what would you tell them with regards to using the platform to probably help them better in a way to enhance their scouting abilities as well?
I think when it comes to sports like kabaddi, for sure, it's already like as you said, the results are already out there. Even some of the football players have like we've had around 7 to 8 players who found better opportunities through the SportVot platform itself. Where I would like there are clubs that have sort of inquired about them, got them to trials, and given them a chance in their teams. So that has already happened. And what I would encourage people to do is create or capture as much information about your gameplay as you can. Get as much video as possible. If you are playing in a semi-professional amateur club, get your matches recorded if you don't want to use sport board or live stream, but in general as well, get them recorded at least. Get them, of course, if you stream it, there is a different angle to it. You get viewership, etc., etc. But getting them recorded, live streamed is very important. If you are able to map your data with the videos, it's even more valuable, which sport would let you do. Also, what we are trying to now do at SportVote is we are trying to have these small tournaments, leagues that keep happening. Of course, we have grand leagues like the Mumbai Kabaddi League as well, but there are a lot of smaller leagues also that keep happening where we call it the Future Stars Cups. So we've had one in football. There is one more next month that is going to happen, where some of the top players, if they are not playing in any of the professional clubs or semi-professional clubs, we try to get them a chance with these clubs as well. Where based on the data and information, we try to get them a chance to speak to a scout or a coach or someone who's looking out for players in a particular position, etc., etc. Also, apart from that, we are starting this level up program, and coincidentally it's starting in the sport of football, so that's good. Since I'm presuming most of the you listeners are football centric, so in this level up program, what we are trying to do is we are trying to get upcoming promising players, mostly in the age group of 16 to 19 years, who are wanting to play regularly, play at a better level. We are trying to get them, and the level up program is such that you are going to be a part of the sport board team roster. We are sort of creating a small team of ours self, which is going to participate in a lot of competitions, which is hopefully going to go into the MFA as well very soon. And where we are also going to be getting the players who are a part of this level up program sessions with better coaches, better, I wouldn't say session with the scout, but just getting them more visibility in front of scouts of different clubs, and also on the other hand, getting them some sort of high performance concentration sessions as well. So that's the whole scheme or the plan with the level up that we are looking to do. And I think this weekend we are doing the first level up trials as well, where we would be inviting a bunch of 50 odd players to come just play. We'll be recording a lot of statistics, streaming their match as well, of course, and sort of filtering out a lot of players from this and putting them up in the level up program. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do with Sportwood, not just stream, but have a lot of visibility and get yourself or make yourself a better player as well. So yeah, that's something that you can definitely do. You can follow our social handles. There's information that is constantly coming up, and yeah, there's a WhatsApp number as well. You can reach out to them. There are a bunch of three numbers of my colleagues also written out on the social media platform for this level up program in particular. So yeah,
Well, I think that's a great way to end, and probably, yes, as you mentioned, a good program that's coming up, and rightly so. Whether it's coincidence, and then it's a great coincidence. I would say that we've got this episode out probably right in the time that you guys are probably starting out a new program in the field of football. So I think to all our lovely audiences, do check that out, and also as Siddhant mentioned, you can catch SportVot on all the social media platforms and reach out to them in case if you're a player, coach, scout, a team that's wanting to probably better their ways of looking at players and stuff. So do reach out to the team, and let's get things going on. And I think I only wish level up from here on for SportVot and the entire team out there. Siddhant, finally, as the year ends, we hope to see you guys probably in the news for the right reasons, all the more in the new year as well. And may you penetrate further into the Indian football market also. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thanks, Siju, and thank you guys for your time. And I hope we are able to add more value to the football ecosystem as well, in particular. And like I said, if you have any people who want to reach out to us, they can feel free to ask us any queries if they have. We'll be more than happy to help support in any way we can.
Thank you. Thank you so much. To all the lovely listeners out there of the Total Indian Football Show, thank you so much for showering your love. Continue to do so. And probably this would be the last episode for the year. But the new year will definitely have some more, continue to have exciting guests and exciting stories for us to share. And yes, we will be more regular as we were in the past. And I would probably not take breaks like this in the future. So have a great, blessed 2023. Enjoy the rest of the days and the week in this year. Have a good time, and thank you so much once again for all the love that you've been showing us on the Total Indian Football Show. Do follow and subscribe. We are available on all the leading audio platforms. Once again, Siddhant, thank you, and thank you to all the listeners.
Thank you.